Hey there, weird and wonderful people. It's Shadowflower back again. I know it's been a little bit of time since I last did an update, and life happened as it does. But as life's been happening, I found this interesting show. You may or may not have heard of it. Worldwide sensation, no big deal. House of the Dragon. Believe it or not, I never actually watched the main Game of Thrones show before. It never really caught my attention, but, for obvious reasons, I caught on House of the Dragon. Because dragons. Because who wouldn't want dragons? So, coming on to this end of Season 2, we're getting new dragons, new designs, and I love them. I love them. And I just thought it'd be amazing to do my own spin of it. What would Shad look like a dragon? What would her attributes be? All the hypotheticals that you know and love me for. So I want to show you my progress. I normally start with a gray background. Honestly, it's just so much easier for my eyes. And as I'm going through this with the red drawings, you'll notice it looks very loose, to put it mildly. It's important with art to start as loose as you can with your first initial sketch. This is your proportions. This is where everything's going to be. And the second rule of art that I still don't like is never go with the first sketch. Always do a second sketch. Always see if there's a different pose that could work out. Give your mind a challenge, and you know how I love challenges. So it's always important to kind of fiddle around with poses, proportions, and I really had my heart set on this open silhouette where you get to see this dragon, the not just the wings, but the feet, and get a better understanding of the body type. And I've seen a few pictures and drawings done this as references, with a little face in the corner, and I love it. And unfortunately, I can't find the pictures of I'm referencing to. If you know the artists I'm talking about, please tag them or let me know so I can give them some proper credit. Obviously, Shadow, or Shad, my main character, the lovely, lovely person you see on screen as a representation of me. The big things with her are her wings, her back-facing horns, and her color palette, which is always going to be purple, red, and baby blue. So I had a base in mind of where to start, but I wasn't exactly sure of where it's going to end up. And I had a lot of fun with this scene where exactly it would go. I love doing wings with actual fingers, and so with their hands. And considering that House of the Dragon already does this, it fits my style really, really nice, which I appreciate. I know it wasn't done for me, but let me pretend it was, okay? Working on anatomy next with the wings, my go-to, and honestly a little bit of a cheat for understanding where elbows go, is draw a line from the wrist to the shoulder, and then at a 90-degree angle with it, draw another line straight down. That's where your elbow will be. I also took a lot of inspiration from Melis, the Red Queen. That dragon's design was beautiful. Not just because of the red color and stuff. Honestly, my favorite body type is Caraxes, the bloodworm. But Melis, the Red Queen, I loved that downward sloped dragon skull. Compared to the dragon skulls we kind of know and love, being more T-Rex themed or maybe horse shaped. I liked the really kind of downward sloped, almost wolf-like skull, and I really wanted that for Shad's. It's designed for House of the Dragon, kind of having that slope downward, and I also always, whenever I play characters, whether it's video games, Get Out, or anything like that, I really wanted to hear her very agile, thin, very lean. I always like long legs, that's the fast ones, the one that like a glass cannon, so to speak. Love playing the dynamic with that. Her legs, getting there by With her legs, they kind of caused me a little bit of trouble. Having such a big forward-leaning creature, it's really hard to do like raptor legs or two bipedal legs with something so long without making it look like it's tipping over accidentally. So you'll kind of see me go back and forth with the legs of adjusting the angles, the extension of the leg, the wide stance, because the bigger something is, the more surface area it needs to cover. And then with the person, you gotta keep it loosey-goosey, just find a silhouette that works for you. Honestly, just sometimes going back and forth just helps kind of bring a creative mind with it. Wanted to give Shad little fangs too, because you know she's cute, but she nom nom, because I sometimes nom nom. And just keep pushing and pulling the details, the proportions, and eventually started to get to a point where I was really liking her silhouette. You just kind of had to do fine points. Normally, as you watch me continue drawing, I would start with red, refine with blue, fade that out, and go in with black. I also gave her raptor claws, because I wanted to. The rule of cool, man. It's a rule for a reason. I also wanted to give her a bunch of fins for better control in the air for like sharp details. So some of the fins like in the back of the neck, like with Sunfire, and I liked how she was looking, but she kind of looked a bit fragile to me. So I added in some crocodile scoots, the armored plates that crocodilians have to kind of give her a better chance of being protected if she got ambushed. So like better defense for her back and a little bit of something on her feet for the front, because she's not helpless. She's still a dragon. She will rock your world in most senses of the word. And because I wanted to, and I'm the one doing this, so you're gonna deal with it. With line art, something I learned, and honestly I've adapted very well in my style, is line weight. For those of you who don't know, line weight is how thick or thin a line is as you pass it across the paper. The thinner the line is to something, usually that's the light source or a source of interest. So I started doing my line art very thin towards that person, the little silhouette and size reference, because I wanted your eyes to be drawn to that and then back to the dragon, and having the more simpler shapes being done in broader black strokes. Another thing that's very humans love is simple compared to complex shapes. So I wanted the front of her body to be a whole bunch of minute, nuanced lines and details, and then the back of the body more of a one-lined kind of simple shape, so the eyes didn't get too fatigued looking around the design. So as I'm doing more and more of the dragon, I'm trying to remember, okay, where is this person placed, because I need that to be thinner. Also, I tried as hard as I can to do everything in one stroke. It helps with your control of the line specifically. It helps with your rotation of the wrist. It doesn't get fatigued as badly. However, sometimes that does not happen. Sometimes no matter how good of a line that you may have pulled in your rough, it does not come out that way. And you'll see me kind of struggle with this a little bit with the tail. You'll also notice something else I kind of struggle a little bit with the tail. No matter how badly I tried to pull, I just could not get the line straight. And it didn't help that my computer was fighting me too. For some reason, at a certain part, as you saw really quickly there, I tried so hard to understand why my computer is like this. Pull a straight line, but for some reason, it just was not working. It was glitching. And I really tried to fix it. I ended up having to go back and completely recalibrate my computer and had to restart the recording again before it'll actually play nice. Anywho, I fixed it. But I couldn't fix my damn straight line. And honestly, the best thing you can do in that situation is get as close to that as you can, erase the bottom, and go back and continue the line. Honestly, it's even better if you overshoot, then you can go back in and erase the part that kind of overlapped to have a more of a natural look. Wings were fun too because, you know, loops and details, and my favorite part of the wings the favorite part of the dragons have always been the wings. Because otherwise they're dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are pretty awesome as well. But we want dragons. Doing the phalanges of the wings, it's hard to do parallel lines when it's such an organic shape and if the lines are so thin as well. Best thing I can recommend is keep doing it. As frustrating as it is, do it as close as you can, hope for the best, and that's how you learn. That's how I had to learn, and honestly, there's probably a better way to do it. I don't know how. This is just my own experiences. On to the face. Once again, I was using Mei Li's as a big reference for her face, except for the horns. Those are mine. But I really wanted that sloped face, and I really struggled with it at first until I had to bring up an actual reference of her and try to keep it more of a square face with like a diamond forehead. The eyes gave me a little bit of trouble because I was trying to follow that sloped line, and eventually I gave up. I followed the line, I gave up on my first draft, and honestly it looked so much better and so much more natural with doing that. So another pro tip of art, sometimes something will not work, and the more you try to force it, the more unnatural it will look, and just trust yourself, trust the process, go with it. I also wanted to give her some extra fins on her head, just so, like, better expressions and stuff like that, and, like, everyone's seen a purple dragon. But there's only one purple dragon with 3 fins on her head, crocodile scales, raptor claws, and big backward-facing horns. That's mine. I mean, more than welcome to make your own rendition of it, but the more characteristics you can give your creation, the more unique it can be. Like, what's stopping you from making a dragon with a frog head? Or a scorpion tail? Or, that actually sounds really cool. Might you do that for a different design? But you know what I mean. Everyone has seen some kind of purple dragon before. Speaking of purple and colors and color theory, don't we love color theory? I wanted to give her, I started out with a nice royal purple base. And something I do to kind of help myself is I will start with a flat color, outline it, and then I'll go back in with a much thicker brush to give my wrist more of a break, and I'll use more of my shoulder controller brush than my wrist just to better take care of my wrist in the long term so you don't get carpal tunnel, and honestly it's just so much faster in my opinion to do it that way. I knew I wanted her to be purple, but I wanted to give her a little bit more interest, and something that if you're ever creating a darker or lighter value, you always start with a more saturated hue. It looks more natural, and it gives the light and your eyes a better chance to recognize, hey, there's a different shade going on here. This is nice. So I started with the deep purple, and then I started to go in with more of a lightish blue. Like I said, my main 3 colors for Shad is purple, blue, and red. And normally those go together very nice because red and blue make purple. But I didn't want to make just a generic gradient color. So I brought in a softer kind of lilac or baby blue for her underside, because most predators, especially those that are like top of the food chain, whether it's sharks or falcons or any predators, will usually have lighter underside or darker top. After I brought that in, I brought in a lighter color specifically for her membranes, because more light's going to go through the membranes, because that is skin. It's not tissue, it's not sinew, it's not bone. It's going to be the most flexible part of the dragon, with the least amount of blockage from light and light come through. And plus, honestly, it would just work so much easier, in my opinion, to start with gradients, then go in with solids. That way you're not fighting yourself trying to keep the solids in a specific area. Work smarter, not harder, right? So go in with a brighter lilac for the wings, and I really, really wanted the head to be red. Shad's streak is a red streak, and I wanted to find different ways to incorporate that in the design, so why not have kind of like a head and tail situation going on? Part of me was thinking of like names for, because most dragons have names and themes and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe like the Swift Streak or the Swift Flame, or I don't know. And then I gave up on trying to make a title because I was having too much fun with the design. But I wanted red not to be on just one part of the body. I wanted to be somewhere where it would balance out. So why not the head and tail? And then blue was the next thing. Obviously, blue eyes are going to pop a lot more. And she has one blue eye and red hot pink eye. Obviously, I didn't feel comfortable putting heterochromia on this dragon. It felt like it challenged the design a little bit too much, but I did want to keep honor of some of her style. I also tried to make a darker purple for her scoots or the crocodilian armor things, thinking it would be better to like bring interest to your body. Ultimately, I changed that to a lighter color. Usually when you're working with colors, it's better to go dark, light. So I decided to put blue instead on the wings to, counteract the blue with the red and the tail. And I think it brought a lot of interest into the dragon itself. I was a little bit unsure with her horns, but ultimately I went in with a brighter color for the tips of her horn, kind of like how it's the neon red for her streak, compared to like the beginning of the base. And honestly, I think it kind of worked out too. It brought your eyes more closer to the head of the dragon and work your eye down. I also changed my mind side and make the fins blue as well. Just a better contrast, and you can actually see them a bit better instead of having it all be multiple tones of purple, a little bit more interest, a little bit more, hey, that's a little bit different. That's a key aspect of her. As we're getting down to the bottom, just adding some shading, just add general interest, show more of a sense of mass than just, floating off the ground. And finally, with the scales, I could absolutely go hard and make every single minute little scale impossible to man. That's a lot of work, and honestly, with something with such a big, broad scope, it's gonna get lost. So I wanted to go with the general idea of where the shapes would be. The biggest ones would be along her back, parallel to the crocodilian scoots, as I keep mentioning, and really nice thick scales along her neck, on her shoulders, finer, more designated, flexible scales on her arms and on her legs. Just trying to make it look organic, but not random. I know on the legs I started adding a little bit too much, so I kind of pulled back on that. Because like I said, I did not want to fall into the trap of doing every single minute detail, because my ADHD would let me if I did not be aware of it. My ADHD would absolutely pull me down that rabbit hole. And here goes the beautiful thing with color theory. Since this light lilac is only a shade or so lighter and a different hue than the normal body, I just went slightly darker with the scoot coloring on her bottom ridge compared to the rest. So it looks darker, more distinguishable along that part of her. But the further up I went into the purple, the more it blended in naturally. So sometimes color theory is your friend. I added some nice shapes and colors and shading to, well, not shading so much to the eyes, but nice dioramas and triangles to her head. I wanted her to be angular. Keep in mind, like I said before, speed is key with this. I wanted to show that she was agile, fast, and most shapes that signify that are diamonds and circles. So, what do you think so far? Honestly, I really enjoy how she came across. I normally try very quickly because I feel pressure to be recorded to finish them as quickly as possible so there's better entertainment. But I personally enjoy when work in progress videos show the mistakes and show the human aspects of the art. So I hope that's something that you guys would enjoy as well. Honestly, loved this cut. I'm probably going to make more, may or may not have a second dragon in the works. Video should be out soon. I also do have an animation that is in the works as well. Hopefully that will be out within a couple weeks. Like I said, life happened, and unfortunately I just could not finish the project before life happened. Stay artsy, my weird and wonderful people, and have a fabulous day. Stay safe and sane. Bye! Do